All right, you ready for another round of 1 to 1.5 feet of snow coming our way into Michigan? Well, it's going to happen. Lake effect is going to be cranking up, and this is going to be strictly out of the northwest, maybe a little bit more to the west at times, but a classic lake effect setup. Some big feeder bands coming off the lakes, and those are going to drop 10 to 18 inches of snow across those lake effect favored areas. We've seen this before a million times in Michigan, and we're doing it all over again. A little bit less over in the western UP because we're going to have just a little less moisture available with a more narrow area of water. Where we have more water on the eastern part and central part of Lake Superior, we can pick up more moisture and that falls on down. Likewise in Lake Michigan, southwest parts of the state of Michigan, we could have a few areas near 6 inches. That'll actually have a little bit of influence from a passing by clipper system coming our way. So we're going to break it all down for you. And here's a look at the watches and warnings that we have in place right now. The winter weather advisories are in the areas that are in purple. Notice on the west side of the Upper Peninsula, that is going to last until 1 o'clock in the afternoon in your New Year's Eve. And again, this could be up to 9 inches in those heaviest bands, which I included in my snow map. We have the winter storm warning a little further over to the east for central Chippewa, western Chippewa County until 7 o'clock into your New Year's Eve. That's where we could see some pretty hefty lake effect coming down. Winter storm warning also for northern lower. Notice some of those are, they're saying in excess of 12 inches, which is exactly what I have in my forecast as well. That's until 7 p.m. into your New Year's Eve. And then actually, we have winter weather advisories all the way from Traverse City down the west side of the state. This is going to be in effect until 7 o'clock New Year's Eve evening. The winter weather advisory for West Michigan also going to be in effect for quite a while. This is actually into 7 o'clock for your New Year's Day morning, likewise on the immediate lakeshore areas. All right, and since my snow map goes from midnight to midnight throughout your New Year's Eve, I do want to start at midnight into New Year's Eve morning. This is 1 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve for your Wednesday. We do have lake effect ongoing for the Upper Peninsula. Notice a little bit down to the south as well. Lake effect still going crazy, especially over into Chippewa County by Sault Ste. Marie. Lots of moisture will be picked up and dropped off there. Notice though you see a weak, teeny little wave coming on through. That's a clipper system over the Chicago area. That is going to amplify a little bit and also reinforce some cold air coming down, the winds, everything. It's just going to help lake effect be that much more intense and also provide a few inches of accumulation back over to our southwestern counties as well. So that would be like, Van Buren, Berrien counties. But look at that lake effect. This is 8 p.m. I'm sure a lot of us are safely headed out to our New Year's festivities. Lots of lake effect coming down. In fact, we could have that lake effect band going from Munising all the way across Lake Michigan into northern lower. So it's picking up moisture from Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and that's why we could have a very, very heavy band of snow coming on down. And that continues all the way until the ball drops right here. Still seeing intense lake effect coming on down. And notice that does continue all the way into your New Year's Day morning. This is 10 o'clock in the morning, and it'll slowly taper off throughout the rest of the day, and we'll finally get a little bit of a break in the snow. All right, so of course something I want to keep in mind is that this is going to be a very fluffy snow. It'll be very cold outside, and the wind is going to be blowing it around like crazy. Starting right at 7 o'clock in the morning, these are the wind gusts that we are expecting, about 20 to 25 miles per hour, a few areas near 30. Going throughout the morning, though, you can see how those do start to increase, and at times throughout the day, this is a summary of the whole day, by the way, at times throughout the day, we could have some lakeshore areas nearing 40 mile per hour wind gusts, and interior areas about 35, maybe up to 40 miles per hour as well. Now, temperature-wise, this is 8 o'clock in the morning. Your pretty typical, morning lows. We got some teens to the north, some 20s down to the south. Things progressing through the day are going to be rather seasonal. I mean, it's going to be a little bit colder in the western UP with numbers in some cases down into the single digits, while we have some teens across the central and eastern part of the UP. And this is partly why it is going to pile up so quickly. When you have a fluffier snow, when it's colder out like this, it piles up faster. There's more air gaps in between it, and it does pile up a little bit faster. Down to the south, notice we got temperatures hanging out in the 20s, but we will cool off rather quickly. So this is actually 7 p.m. into your New Year's Eve now. A lot of us headed out to our New Year's festivities. These are actual air temperatures. The western UP, where you see that little bit of white showing up, that is actually sub-zero. So the actual air temperature in the higher terrain west of Marquette and the Huron Mountains is going to be down to about 0 degrees, while northern lowers in the single digits. And we have pretty much widespread teens and 20s down to the south and lower Michigan. Over the next couple of hours, though, until the ball drops right here at midnight, we're ringing in 2026. Lots of single digits out there. And then you factor in that wind I was showing you, and these are the wind chills. Yeah, these are the wind chills. Could be as cold as -15 to -20 in the western UP. Eastern UP about -5. Northern lower -10. And down to the south will be a few degrees either side of zero. So really make sure you bundle up and stay safe. New Year's is going to be bitterly cold across the Great Lakes.